So tonight's menu, we've got the Raiders and the Broncos squaring off. Denver, 9-point home favorites, total of 42.5. You could go the prop route in this one. I know one of the plays that caught my eye initially because of the trade deadline. Brock Bowers, I think, is in store for a big night as far as targets go because Jacoby Myers is gone. And Chip Kelly said that multiple guys are going to have to fill the role of what he had, the role he had on the offense. So Brock Bowers is the best player on the team, over 5.5 catches. It's pretty juicy, though. It's minus 160. So I'm going to have to find another way to play that. But from a side standpoint, and Jenks, I feel like we are usually pretty hesitant to pick sides when it comes to a 9-point spread because that's a lot of points in the NFL.
Yeah.
But the Raiders, not a good football team. The Broncos have a great defense, but we've seen the Broncos kind of play down to the level of their competition some this year.
Yeah.
So would you take the 9 points? Are you playing a side here?
I think I'm going to lay the 9. I think I'm going to do it. Believe it or not, we're seeing 9.5 in some spots. The Raiders are just so bad, and of course it's number dependent. So you can say, yeah, I know, but can they stay within 9? I just don't know if they can because their defense is so bad. Like they've allowed at least 25 points in 5 of their last 6 games. Now you got the Broncos coming in, and also the Raiders are coming off that game against Jacksonville, where that was a really hard-fought game, went to overtime. Jags won in OT, so that's just one of those that just takes the air out of you, where you're probably a little more beat up than you would be otherwise. I know it's just an extra quarter or half quarter of football, but those things matter in the NFL. It's like playing on a short week. It may not seem like a big deal, but an extra quarter of football, an extra couple days of rest in such a violent game, that's huge. And so when I look at the Raiders, I'm also trying to figure out how they're going to score. How are they going to score against Broncos defense, which is a top 5 defense? Geno Smith has not been good this season. And I like Geno a lot. I love his story. There's a reason why the Raiders traded for him so he could work with Pete Carroll again, but he leads the league in interceptions. And so that's a bad omen against this Broncos secondary. I think Denver finds a way to cover.
Yeah, I think you either do that or you separate and isolate the fact that you think the Raiders aren't going to score many points. So you can go team total for the Raiders under 16.5. I wish it was 17, but that's minus 175. Under 16.5 is minus 125. I think that is a solid play. Or you go first half. Their first half total is 9.5. So I think, especially from the jump when you're still reeling to make up for what Jacoby Myers brought to this offense, especially against this Broncos defense. It's been so good. Because I remember going into that game against the Cowboys, I said to myself, okay, the Cowboys have a really good offense. If there's anybody who can maybe, keep up with this Broncos defense, it's the Cowboys. The Broncos shut them down. I know that the Cowboys scored 24 points, but most of it in garbage time. The Broncos put up a 44 spot. So I think these are like complementary bets where I think both could probably happen, where the Broncos cover the 9 and the Raiders don't score too much. But if you are worried about laying a big number, maybe go team totals when it comes to the Raiders. From a prop standpoint, like I mentioned, Brock Bowers, that's the one that just kind of got my first glance here. Is there anything else that you saw where you're like, hey, that's kind of interesting?
I am going to put together a small parlay, I think, here. So I wanted to get Geno Smith to throw an interception because he's been so bad this year. He's thrown a pick in 7 of 9 games. I think he's going to throw a pick tonight. So look at the total. It's a lower total, 43. But I feel like if you're the Raiders, you are going to be playing from behind. And look, let's be honest about what we've seen from Vegas. There's a reason why Ashton Genty has not really broken out this year. That Raiders offensive line is so bad. Like, they can't run. Geno gets no pass protection. So I feel like Vegas is going to be playing from behind against the Broncos, which means Geno's going to be throwing the ball against a ton of pressure. Like, Benito's going to be all over him, and he's probably going to throw it into traffic. It's probably going to get picked off. You take that in Broncos money line, it's minus 109. That's definitely a play for me.
Ooh, I like that. Another way to kind of play the game script here is sometimes you look at the quarterback for the team that you think is going to win, and you hit their passing attempts under. So the line is set at 33.5 for Bo Nix. I don't think they need to throw the ball for most of this game. And we've even seen him go under this number in a lot of games this season. So he's gone under it in 2 of 5. But remember, some of these games, I feel like have skewed his averages. Like, remember that back and forth affair between the Broncos and the Giants that ended 33-32? He threw the ball 50 times. But that's not the game script that I'm really expecting here. I'm expecting a slower pace game and more of kind of what we saw in that game against the Texans, where it was 18-15 final score. So you could go that route for Bo Nix. He's also somebody who's kind of crafty with his legs, rushed for 36 yards last game. But again, when we talk about games that could get out of hand, those are games that I don't really love quarterback rushing props, simply because why would you risk your body if you're winning a game by double digits? So I don't know. I feel like Brock Bowers is still the better one. I just saw where that one turned to 6.5. So it was 5.5 yesterday as far as catches go. Now it is 6.5 juiced to the under. But if you like the over, it's plus 105. Or you could go receiving yards. It's 64.5. Because here's the thing. It is a very tough defensive matchup against the Broncos, but the targets are going to be there for Brock Bowers. He's the best player on their team. Geno Smith knows this. And when you lose somebody like Jacoby Myers, those targets have to go somewhere. So granted, it's tough to buy a stock when it's at its highest. Brock Bowers coming off a 12-catch game for 127 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's probably not going to happen again because the defensive matchup is much tougher than when you go against the Jaguars. But still, I think the opportunity is probably going to be there. So I think that's why I originally started with catches, because I don't know how many yards after the catch he's going to get. But he's also one of the yards after catch masters in the NFL. So maybe he is the cheat code to at least get you your props against the Denver Broncos. So I think that is the one player that I kind of circled here. What about a total, Jenks? 43 feels pretty low, but if anybody can stifle, the Raiders' offense, it's certainly the Broncos. It's just how many points are the Broncos going to score?
That's going to be like a 28-10 game, 28-13. Maybe under hits. Is my math correct? I think it is. Just like right there. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
You might want to look at, honestly, a Broncos team total. I think it's at 26 and a hook. And I mentioned the Raiders have given up at least 25 in 5 of 6 games. So I think the Broncos can get to 27, 28 against the Raiders, especially on the turf. Tend to get a few more points. I know it's a short week. So that's something I would look at as well if you like Denver, and I like Denver in this game. And there's a lot of ways to actually bet this game. I know it's not the most exciting matchup, even though it's the Raiders, but there's a lot of different props that I like. I mentioned that Geno Smith interception prop. You can put some things together here, but I like Broncos team total as well.
It should be noted, I believe this game is in Denver.
Oh, is it? Oh, I got that wrong.
Not going to be turf. It will be a little chilly. But still, the Raiders' defense equals bad. So I see where you're going there. It's hard for me to trust Bo Nix because he's been kind of inconsistent this year. So I can see it happening, but I think there's other ways to play it.